Plantar fasciitis is one of the most nagging and limiting orthopedic injuries. It's estimated that 2 million Americans experience plantar fasciitis every year, and it's the most common injury in the foot. This is why in today's video we're going to run through the best strength and mobility exercises for this injury. So let's get started with the outline of today's video. I'll cover what plantar fasciitis is, the risk factors, exercises and stretches to help you manage your injury, and some of the misconceptions there are about this condition. So let's start with what plantar fasciitis refers to. It actually is referred to inflammation of the plantar fascia. However, current research shows that it's not the primary driver of this condition. This is really important because people often associate inflammation with rest, ice, and taking anti-inflammatory medication, which is not a recommended treatment. It's also not recommended to aggressively roll and massage the bottom of the foot, thinking that you're going to break up adhesion or scar tissue in order to heal this injury. I'll elaborate more later on in the video why you shouldn't do this. So the plantar fascia extends from the heel of our foot, so the calcaneus, and it runs along the whole bottom of the foot down towards the toes. Often people will complain of pain at the base of the heel and usually on the inside of the arch of the foot. So the cause of plantar fasciitis is multifactorial, but the most common is overuse stress. Plantar fasciitis is not an easy one to treat because we are on our feet throughout the day, and decreasing the load is crucial for the recovery of this injury. So what are the risk factors of plantar fasciitis? So because it's an overuse injury that's primarily due to repetitive strain, it causes micro tears in the plantar fascia. The two most common causes of plantar fasciitis are seen in 1, runners who are increasing their volume or load, and 2, individuals that are sedentary that have a higher mass index. But there are other risk factors for plantar fasciitis, which include excessive pronation, those that stand for a prolonged period of time, tight calves or hamstrings, wearing high heels, and those that have limited ankle mobility, especially dorsiflexion of the foot, that can create plantar fasciitis as well. Why do we get plantar fasciitis? A simple framework is thought to occur when we increase our frequency, volume, and load of the plantar fascia, such as standing, walking, or running, exceeds our capacity to recover and adapt adequately. Issues arise when the load is greater than our capacity. So think of load as you're running, jumping, and lifting, and your capacity is the ability to adequately respond to these loads. So the focus of rehabilitation is to reduce the load and increase capacity, or drop them both down a bit. For runners, it often comes down to too much too soon. So for example, perhaps it's an increase in your pace and your overall volume. Maybe you're leading up to a race, which represents a spike in the load. And for those that are less active, it might be related to the gradual decline in physical activity, which represents a decrease in capacity. Now for the most important part, let's talk about the strength and mobility exercises. We're going to first start with the stretches. So the first one's going to be self-massage techniques. And then I'm going to show you a variety of different areas for you to work on soft tissue release to help ease the tension on the plantar fascia. So the first one's the toe glove. So you're going to put your fingers through your toes, gently go in circular motions, clockwise and counterclockwise, to gently release your forefoot. This one is a nice relaxing technique. It helps to open up the toes and splay the bottom of the foot. The second one's going to be a mid-foot release. Grab middle of the foot, essentially, and you're going to rotate back and forth, kind of creating like a little bit of an unwinding effect, and same thing, 1 to 2 minutes. So the next one's going to be a soft tissue release on the calf. You can gently compress the calf while moving the foot into plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, and this will help to separate the tissue. And then the last one I suggest you doing is gentle rolling of the bottom of the foot. So as I mentioned earlier, aggressive rolling and massaging is not a recommended treatment, and that's because you're not going to actually break up the scar tissue or adhesion that's there. I want you to think more so that you're going to be releasing the soft tissue around the area and mobilizing the joints a bit. So that's really what's going to make the difference. So think of it more as like you're trying to increase circulation in the area rather than you're trying to break up the scar tissue. The second stretch is going to be a plantar fascia stretch. This one you're going to need a rolled up towel, and you're going to actually place your toes on the towel and then gently step forward, and you're going to lift up going onto your toes. This is going to help apply a little bit of load onto the plantar fascia while stretching at the same time. For this, you really want it to be like a gentle to moderate stretch. You don't want it to be painful, so go based on your pain tolerance. Do 15 to 20 reps of this, and I recommend you doing it on both sides, even if it's just one side that's affected, because you can give yourself a little bit of rest in between. And the last stretches are going to be a Soleus stretch and a gastroc stretch. So often people forget that we have more than just one calf muscle. One of our main ones, which is the Gastrocnemius muscle, it actually crosses both the ankle and the knee joint, so it's important to have the leg extended when you're stretching this muscle. And then the Soleus stretch is going to be when you have the knee slightly bent, and this is because the Soleus does not cross the back of the knee joint, and so you can do an up and down motion to gently stretch out this muscle. For the stretches, you can hold them for 3 sets of 30 seconds, or you can do it like I'm doing it here in this video, where I'm gently mobilizing tissue back and forth, easing a little bit of the tension and going a little bit deeper each time. Now for the strengthening exercises. So depending on how acute your injury is, you want to start slow, make sure that you keep the load low, and slowly build over time. So the first strengthening exercise is going to be a toe lift. Standing on the ground, keep all your toes flat and actively raise your big toe. This is going to help strengthen the top of the foot while stretching the bottom of the arch. Start with 10 reps. On one side, switch into the other side and start with 2 sets of 10 and then work your way up to 3 sets. Second exercise is a calf raise. Calf raise is a double whammy because we're actually going to be working on strengthening the calf muscle. So this is you building up the load over time, but also you're going to be stretching the calf while you go into that eccentric phase. And this is going to help to stretch and elongate the tissue at the bottom of the foot. So using a step up or stairs, have your toes on the edge of the step. Best to do this one barefoot. You're going to slowly go all the way down, dropping your heels down as far as you can until you feel a stretch. Then you're gonna go all the way up into a full calf raise and then slowly drop down for about 10 seconds and do that 10 times. Start with 2 feet down and then gradually over time work to build up to doing single leg. So split squats is our third one. This one's great because you can start with your body weight and you can adjust how much weight you put on the back foot. So it's going to be the back foot that we're focused on. The big toe is going to be an extension, and as you slowly go down, you're going to feel more of stretch on the plantar fascia. And then doing 2 sets of 10 reps on each side and alternating will give you that rest interval in between. Love this one because, again, once you start to feel like you can actually add a little bit more load, you can put more weight on the back leg, or you can actually load with a kettlebell, dumbbell, or a barbell. And the last one is single leg balancing. So start with 20 to 30 seconds, see how this feels, then work your way up to holding it for about 2 minutes. Alternate from side, so that way you're giving one side the rest in between. And this one you want to build up to doing 3 sets of 2 minutes. And over time you can load this one with weights as well. So what I suggest you do is throughout 12 weeks, continue to add resistance over time, such as dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells. If you're not at a gym, you can always load a backpack and do it that way. I also really love using the TRX, which is a suspension trainer at the gym, because you can use your upper body to offload some of the weight, so you can slowly build up that load and capacity over time. Pain is expected to some extent, but as long as it's tolerable and you're working towards your goals, then you're headed into the right direction. The exercises should be performed every other day, and then the stretches can be done daily. And don't forget that the exercises should be performed for a minimum of 12 weeks, even if the pain subsides. So here are some of the misconceptions when it comes to plantar fasciitis. One, that it's an inflammatory injury. Because it's often associated with rest, ice, and taking anti-inflammatory medications. This is because when we're not gradually loading the tissue, when you go from sedentary and not doing any activity, going back to loading and building up your capacity, it's too much too soon. You have to gradually build up over time, and this is why thinking complete rest and ice is going to treat the injury. The exercises to increasing your load and capacity are so crucial. So should you ice? Well, if you feel like it feels good and it helps, then sure, but I don't want you to think that that's what's actually going to treat the root cause of this injury. It's going to be increasing the load and capacity to your body over time. The second is aggressive rolling and massaging of the foot. So as I mentioned, one of the stretches that I really like is just gently rolling out the bottom of the foot. What I don't suggest you do though is actually try to dig into that area of the medial heel pain where it's quite sore and acute, because you're just creating more irritation to that structure. What I want you just to really take away from this is focus on other areas of the foot, maybe more down by the toes or into the calf and hamstring. That would be better focus for soft tissue release rather than the actual area of acute pain. Third is heel and bone spurs. You may have heard that the cause of your pain is a bone spur. If you get an x-ray and you find out that you do have a bone spur, don't focus solely on this. Research has shown that 50% of the population that have plantar fasciitis have bone spurs, and that it's not a correlation for this condition. And fourth is orthotics. It's building a compensation for the bottom of the foot. If it's a functional issue, which often plantar fasciitis is a load deficiency. Our body doesn't have the capacity to sustain the load. So by putting in a structural piece like a orthotic, you are now not retraining the foot to tolerate the load. So over time, your foot's just gonna become weaker and less stable. And so I really encourage you, if you do use a orthotic or an insole, to limit the amount of pain. Use it only for when it's really acute at the very beginning, but try your best to get away from constantly using it so you can actually build up the strength and capacity of your foot over time. So here are the takeaways. Remember active recovery, not complete rest. Give yourself 12 weeks. We want to induce resilience of this tissue over time so you can build up your capacity to handle any load. Give yourself time and be persistent. The hope is that when you take your first few steps out of bed, it's gonna feel like feathers in comparison to the exercises that you've been performing regularly over the past 12 weeks. Now, I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.